I never believed a single conversation could change the course of an entire life. Conversations to me were fleeting, words that dissolve into the air and disappear. But that was before I met Daniel, before the sound of his voice became a turning point I never saw coming. It all started on a rainy Tuesday evening in Lagos. I was sitting in a corner of a small coffee shop, laptop open, pretending to work while I scrolled aimlessly through job boards. My account balance was pathetic, 17,300 left in my bank account, barely enough to last the week. Rent was due in 10 days, and I didn't have a plan. I had been searching for a way out of my financial mess for months. I tried selling thrift clothes online, writing articles for pennies, even considered moving back to my parents' house in Benin City. But pride wouldn't let me. I was 29. I wanted independence, not handouts. I remember exactly when I noticed him. He walked in wearing a crisp white shirt, dark trousers, and a wristwatch that looked far too expensive for the dingy café. His steps were confident but unhurried. He ordered black coffee, no sugar, no cream, then sat at the table right next to mine. I tried not to stare, but something about him made it impossible. He opened a sleek MacBook, the kind I could only dream of owning, and began typing furiously. Every few minutes his phone buzzed, and he'd glance at it with the faintest smile, like he knew something the rest of us didn't. It wasn't until I caught sight of his screen that I realized what he was doing. Candlestick charts. Red and green bars moving up and down like a heartbeat. Numbers changing by the second. I had seen them before, in YouTube videos, in Facebook ads, on Instagram reels, always accompanied by some self-proclaimed guru yelling about making millions from Forex. I never took it seriously. I thought it was all a scam. Forex? I blurted without thinking. He looked up, surprised, then gave a small, polite nod. Yeah. You trade? I laughed. No. I barely understand what those lines mean. He closed his laptop slightly and leaned toward me. Want to? It wasn't the words that caught me. It was the way he said them, not like a salesman. Not like someone trying to convince me, but like an invitation into a world I'd been ignoring. I should have said no. I should have minded my business. But something about that moment, maybe the rain tapping on the windows, maybe the hopelessness I'd been carrying, made me ask, "And you actually make money from this?" His smile widened, slow and deliberate. It changed my life. We talked for hours. He told me how he started with just 50,000, lost most of it in his first 3 months, but kept learning until his trades began to win. Showed me his MT4 account, real trades, real profits. The numbers didn't look fake. When I asked why he was telling me all this, he said, "Because I see something in you, and I know what it's like to be stuck." That night, I went home with his number saved in my phone and a strange kind of hope in my chest. The next day, he sent me a voice note explaining the basics: currency pairs, pips, leverage, risk management. His tone was patient, calm. He didn't make wild promises about becoming a millionaire overnight. He only said, "If you're willing to learn and not give up, this can change everything." I threw myself into learning. I watched videos, read articles, joined Telegram groups. Daniel checked in on me daily, correcting my mistakes, warning me about overtrading. When I finally placed my first demo trade, my hands were trembling. It was a win. A small one, but it felt like conquering the world. 2 months later, I funded my first live account with 30,000. I lost half of it in a week. I was devastated. I wanted to quit. But Daniel called me that night and said something I'll never forget. "Every loss is tuition. You're paying to learn. Don't waste the lesson." I kept going. Weeks turned into months, and slowly my wins began to outweigh my losses. I was making enough to cover my bills, my rent, my groceries. For the first time in years, I wasn't drowning. But then came the night everything shifted, the night that one conversation would turn into a chain of events I could never reverse. It was late, almost midnight, when Daniel called. His voice was tense. "I have an opportunity for you. High risk, high reward. You in?" I hesitated. "How high risk?" He paused. "Let's just say you could double your account in a night, or lose it all." I should have said no. But greed is a seductive thing, especially when you've had a taste of success. I said yes. That night we went all in on a trade, USD JPY. He sounded confident. I trusted him completely. For hours the trade was in profit. My heart raced as the numbers climbed. I imagined paying off my debts, buying a car, maybe even leaving Nigeria for a while. Then, just before dawn, the market turned. Sharp. Violent. My account bled faster than I could think. "Close it," I shouted over the phone. "Not yet," he said. "It'll bounce back." It didn't. By sunrise, my account was gone. Every naira. I sat on my bed, numb, the phone still in my hand. Daniel was silent on the other end. Finally, he said, "I'm sorry." I didn't speak to him for weeks. I went back to square one. Broke, desperate, humiliated. But here's the thing. That wasn't the end, because a month later, Daniel showed up at the cafe again. He slid a brown envelope across the table. Inside was 150,000. "What's this?" I asked. "Your restart," he said, "and this time we do it right." We did. This time I was disciplined, careful, patient. I learned risk management like my life depended on it. And slowly, the numbers grew. By the end of the year, I had more in my bank account than I'd ever seen before. But the money wasn't the real change. The real change was me. The person who no longer panicked at failure, who saw losses as lessons, who understood that wealth wasn't luck, it was discipline. That one conversation in the cafe didn't just change my finances, it changed my mind, my resilience, my future. Daniel eventually moved to Dubai. We still talk, though not as often. But every time I place a trade, I hear his voice in my head. Every loss is tuition. Don't waste the lesson. And I never do.